Welcome to The Breakdown, brought to you by PaintballAccess.com. I'm Matty Marshall alongside Todd Martinez. And I want to give you guys a little bit of information on Los Angeles Infamous. I might as well call them Detroit Infamous. That's what they really should be called. Or Midwest Infamous, maybe?
yeah, Midwest Infamous. I think they like that.
Well, hey, sticking to their Cali roots a little bit, they pick up the Bornstein brothers. Corey and Jason Bornstein are going to be coming on to Infamous for the 2014 season. Todd, what do you think about this move?
Well, I haven't seen Jason Bornstein play in a minute. But the last time I saw Jason Bornstein play, he was running down the field, stabbing people, freaking out like a wild man, just super intense. That's why I love Jason Bornstein. He's an animal. When you talk to him on the sidelines, you know, he can be a pretty cool guy, you know, kind of mellow, sort of. But when you get him on that field, he is an untamed beast out there, and he just wants to rip people's heads off, and I love that about him. Jason Bornstein, a little bit more calm, cool, and collected. You know, kind of more of a silky smooth player. We saw him start the year last year with the Ironmen. Didn't really work out for him. And then went to Impact halfway through the season, and I thought he played awesome.
Hey, fear the beard, man. Yeah, I really think that Corey could be a top-level player, man. I like his talent. I think he played pretty well for Impact. Didn't work out over there, so now coming on to Infamous. But I really think that their personality is going to, because Infamous is very much a team about personality. You know, it's about who's going to jive with who. And honestly, I think that that's both a strength and a weakness for them, because when you're on that team, or at least in 2013, they got a really inconsistent, or had a really inconsistent year this year. And we're, you know, pretty regularly playing in that relegation match. And when you look at the roster, you're like, wow, like how is this team constantly playing in these relegation matches? And they had some standout performances this year, particularly by Damian Ryan. But with Damian Ryan's skills on the field and the time he's spent in the game now, I think it's time for Damian to kind of morph to an off-the-field leader as well, too. At least, you know, I mean, you always want to try to be able to be that guy. But when you're that good on the field, it really needs to translate into off the field as well, so that you are that guy that not only do people want to play amazing on the field, because you are leading by example out there, because he did have a dominant year. I mean, anyone that doesn't think that Damian Ryan had a dominant year in 2013 just is either flat out lying, doesn't want to admit that Damian's as good as he's gotten, or wasn't watching any of the games. Yeah. Those are your options there, because he did really have an amazing year. I mean, you know, he plays so many points. He barely sat any points out whatsoever. I mean, the guy can play some game. But the issue there is that they didn't seem to have much team continuity on the field, and also didn't really play their best ball until their backs were against the wall. Yeah,
it's tough because you look at Damian and you see 200 kills out there. But, you know, a true leader is able to get his teammates to play the best. And is Damian Ryan out there doing that? If he's going to be the guy that's out there leading by example on the field, the best thing that he can do is get his teammates up and get them going. And that's tough to do sometimes. You know, you got to be real positive all the time around your guys, get them going, maybe sacrifice some things in your game to help other guys get going. But when you have Nicky Cuba, Drew Templeton, Bobby Aviles, and Brad McCurley there with you too, you know, as long as Kevin Rudolph, they got a lot of good guys. You know, they got a lot of really solid guys, and it's really just about for them coming together. Last year, I wasn't in their pit. I don't know why they didn't gel as much.
But you did coach them to a win in 2012.
Yes, so I know they have it. You know, I know that all the talent's there. You know, all the expectation, everything's there. You know, it's just about them putting it together. The way that they came out in that first event, I really hope that first event really didn't just deflate their sales for the rest of the year, because they came out on fire at the beginning of the year. You know, a little bit of controversy in that Dynasty game to go to the finals. Yeah. But after that, it was like you said, Matty, they were constantly playing for relegation, didn't look as strong, didn't come out as strong. Why did that happen? I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it. I can't really figure out why. But are they lacking talent across the board? Not even a little bit. Even Travis Lemansky could step on the field and do work, but, you know, he spent most of his time coaching, helping Greg Posey try and run the team last year. Yeah. But, you know, they tried a few guys in and out, but, I mean, they still have that solid core of players, and adding the Bornsteins, I think, is definitely going to help them a lot.
Well, I think it's definitely going to add to the depth of the team, but when you look at paintball, it's about positions and weapons. And, you know, a lot of times when guys are like, oh, this team picked up this guy, this team picked up this guy, but it's, okay, what position does he play? How well does he play that position? Does somebody else play that position on the team that he's coming to? You know, like, for instance, it's a little bit different of a conversation because it's two different teams, but Nick Laval got picked up. He went from 187, and now he's on Impact. And he kind of played that 2-3 for 187, and now he's going to be playing the 1 or the 2 on the D side. So that's a big question mark. Everyone believes in Nick Laval's talent, and we have seen him in that position before, but only when somebody with Dyer were there. So, you know, when you really truly look at Infamous's line, they have really good, like you said, I mean, Travis Szymanski doesn't even, because there hasn't been a lot of back players and his specialty is shooting that guy off the break, but he's amazing at that. They have good threes. They have amazing twos, some of the best out there, Bobby Avilas, Nicky Cuba, and then they have a plethora of guys that can play that 1. They got a lot of attackers, so they have that good, you know, and they have a good mix of, I'm sorry, I know you're wanting to go.
No, I'm just counting these bodies in my head.
But they also have a good mix of guys that are wild, maniac, aggressive players and guys that can play, that moderate that. You know, Drew Templeton can definitely play aggressive, but he's really consistent. Callie Rudolph, what a phenom when it comes to, you know, really exerting great pressure, and he's played that 1 position, so he knows what that front player wants, and he's really consistent. So I still, just like you, I've been trying to figure it out for a year now, what exactly they need. And it's not, they never went down to the Challengers division, so, but they are one of those teams that's just on the cusp of being that mid-level boss that you got to beat in order to get to the Sunday, get to that final.
And they're definitely capable of it, you know, but we always talk about versatility. You know, they have versatile guys. Brad could play both sides of the field. Callie could play both sides of the field, the 1 or the 2. And then we're getting Mayo and Trillett, too. Mm-hmm. Both of those guys could play both sides of the field. But, you know, it's all about you having the versatility, having a high level of talent, but putting those guys together and them coming together and being consistent together. You know, and I think that's, you know, part of the reason why they kind of tailed off towards the end of the season last year, is because it was hard to find that consistency. You had one guy doing work and other guys were playing really well at certain times, but they couldn't get it all going at the same time. But when they did, I mean, they crushed people. The Chicago tournament, I think they spotted every team they played 3 or 4 points, and then had to come back and win. You know, it's kind of like how they were. You know, like you said, back against the wall. You know, Lasoya talks about it forever. You know, he hates seeing them with their backs against the wall and have to fight back. But I mean, it's kind of it sucks that that's what it takes to really get those guys going. You know, if they can really get their mindset straight and be focused and be committed and come out and play infamous paintball, then there's no reason why they shouldn't be a top 4 team all the time.
Yeah, and also the biggest thing is that they're exciting to watch. If you want to watch a fun paintball game, then Infamous is definitely one of those games that you don't want to miss. They come in with fire. They play very hype. They're definitely not one of those stoic teams. No talking in the pits. Shh, quiet, everybody, focus. They're not that team. They're loud. They're very proud about who they are and where they come from and what they've done in order to get to this position. So this is a big proving year. I think 2014 is a big year for Infamous because you don't want to be where they are for as long as they have been with the roster they have, because that's when, you know, no matter how tight everybody is, eventually, you know, you start to think, well, okay, is this the squad we can do it with? I mean, they really haven't had that many changes in rosters since when they won Chicago in 2012, and that's historically one of the hardest tournaments to win. Chicago and World Cup, those are the 2 hardest tournaments to win in the world. Because it's mid-season, you know, it's mid-season, everyone's there's no excuse like, oh, we're from the Northeast, or oh, we're from here, we're from there, we couldn't practice. No, it's mid-season, everyone is, you know, should be getting near their game. And then World Cup when everybody's there and there's a lot more pressure because it's such a big event. And so Infamous, they've won tournaments before. It's a legendary team. They've been around for a long time now, and they have great players. So I think that maybe this is their year, you know.
Infamous is going to win a tournament this year. If you look back historically at Infamous, you know, every other year, kind of get it going. I think they could be a top 4 team every time. I'll bet you they win 1 tournament this year.
I wouldn't take that bet because there's a good chance that they may do it.
Yeah.
All right, well, hey, thank you guys for tuning in to the breakdown of Matty Marshall with Todd Martinez. Make sure to follow us on all our social networks. Help us spread the paintball gospel. We're really trying to let the world know how amazing this game is and the guys that play it. So thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time.
How many countries I've visited,
how many miles you've traveled,
how many paintballs you've shot at different people,
how much baby powder I've used, how many hotels we've trashed,
how many places I've driven,
how many guns I've gone through,
how much I love the game.
It's all the times that you had to tell your family that you couldn't be there for this or that because you were going to play paintball.
How many friends I've gotten out of it.
That's just why I love paintball.
That's why I love paintball.
That's why I love paintball.
But that's why I love paintball.
massive opportunities, both with the sport of paintball and for your business, if we are successful in taking our sport to another level. Unite with Paintball Access in our quest to elevate paintball and broadcast it to the world. There are advertising packages available for any size business. Join us. Advertise with PBA and help us change the sport for the better forever.